right, how's it going, everybody? It is episode 96 here on Hawaii Football Now. Jordan Helly, Hunter Hughes back with you, our guy Jonathan on the controls, producing this episode. Big thanks to Spectrum Mobile and HawaiiUSA Federal Credit Union for sponsoring the pod. We record this Wednesday, June 28th, just after 7 a.m. Hawaii time, kind of our usual record time. Set to release this tomorrow, Thursday, June 29th, the usual release date for the past 95 weeks as we've powered on here, especially throughout the summer on Hawaii Football Now. Quick little opening drive. We'll go cross promotion again. Hunter's Shakas and Swings podcast, digital show on the ESPN Honolulu family of networks. We got a ton of content, by the way. You can always check it out on YouTube, Facebook, all the other spots that on the website as well, where all the content is posted. Our guy Jonathan playing a key role in a lot of those things as well. But Shakas and Swings going strong. And Hunter, you had a few of the UH guys on the pod that we can look forward to, right?
That's right. Played with Braden Shager, Jake Farrell, and punter Ben Falk this past Monday. We went to Couple A and played a little two-man scramble.
Nice.
Match against Jake Farrell and Braden Shager. Good God, did they figure out how to chip? It was I mean, about a month ago I played with those guys as well, and they were not playing to that caliber. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a fun little show. And they put up 5 birdies against us. They made 5 birdies as a team.
So they've clearly been practicing, is what
they
you're
have.
saying.
Oh my gosh. And Shager's confidence was through the roof, which, hey, I'm a fan. If we can keep that guy's spirits and vibes as high as possible heading into week 0 whenever they go to Nashville, I'm a fan of that.
There you go. Yeah, keep the spirits high, keep the confidence rolling. Did you guys like put Ben through some passing drills? It seems like a very quarterback centric foursome there. And then you got Ben Falk, who he can boot it a mile.
Yeah.
But is he in the running for like emergency quarterback? Was that his entrance into the group?
Yeah, I think I figured it out. He is kind of like the version of me on the team where he worked at a golf course and gets them on for free. So he's the plug. Really nice guy. First time I've actually really gotten to meet him. He's a big left-handed golfer, and I'm a lefty as well, so that was kind of cool to share a cart together with that. And I was most intrigued to watch a punter talk a little trash, and it turns out he's just really, really nice. Anytime something would go down, Jake and Braden would have kind of a repartee and just something in the chamber, and Ben was like, we got to bounce back. We got to bounce back. Okay. It's not over yet. And you're like, I need you to get a little angry. Okay. Yeah. So really, really fun time. I got them all to agree to do a 2.0. So once that one's up, get excited for another one, because we need redemption at this point. Farrell and Shager absolutely handled. So we're going to need to raise the stakes and try to go at it again.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Make sure Ben's out there practicing. How many times have you been able to like share a cart with a fellow left-handed player?
Very few. That's usually,
any match, it's been a lot.
That's usually the running joke is, hey, what's wrong? You're standing on the wrong side of the tee. There's something strange about your clubs, yada, yada, yada. You guys are, I thought we killed all you guys off, the list goes on and on, but it was good to be fairly represented on this thing. It was a 2v2 lefty versus righty. So yeah, good time as always.
Awesome. And when does that drop? When are we?
Need to talk to our guy Jonathan actually.
All right. All right.
Yeah, we'll be working on that a little bit more, but probably within the next week or so.
Nice. There's a lot of editing that goes into it. It's not like you just you upload it on Instagram Live or something. It's a higher production quality with ESPN Honolulu. We can tell you that for sure. All right, moving on here. Before we hit the game time, I want to remind you that Hawaii Football Now is brought to you by HawaiiUSA Federal Credit Union. Originally opened in 1936 as a credit union for educators, HawaiiUSA has inspired a culture of giving that is rooted in education and has since become Hawaii's largest credit union and expanded to other areas of community need that impact financial health, including healthcare, housing, and hunger. To learn more, please visit HawaiiUSAFCU.com. All right, game time here on episode 96 of HFN. Jordan Hunter along with you. We got our guy Al from VA, who is just the most prolific commenter on our YouTube page, and I think nobody has come close, even though we've got a couple of regulars on there, and always want to give them some shout outs as well. Tyler and Scott dropping a line. But one thing that Al has been clamoring for has been like, I love how he calls it like the Coach Cody Cook dashboard. I think there's something to that. But basically he, like, I think he's not alone in this. A lot of the diehard UH fans, right? Which there are always more than I think people give the program credit for. Like, there are a fair amount of people who kind of like live this. And we appreciate you guys tuning in every week on Hawaii Football Now. But one thing is, like, he's like wanting to see the progress, like the off-season progress, right? Like, they're locked in during the season. They see the results, the on the field stuff, spring practice, but he like wants to like learn about the weight room, the strength and conditioning progress. And as we mentioned on like a previous episode, it's not always kind of easy to track that. It's they don't want everybody to know all their secrets and whatnot. But I think Steven Tsai, the Honolulu Star advertiser, great guy, and beat writer for University of Hawaii football. I'm thinking he might read the comments on our YouTube page, and is getting content ideas from Al from VA, because you know what, we do the exact same thing. So shout out to Al when it comes down to it. But Steven recently putting
Al's the one in the lab.
A article in the paper the other day. So shout out to Steven for tracking down a lot of these numbers. He gets the good kind of access for sure. But he had put some numbers out there, so we're gonna update that. And I was kind of curious to ask you, Hunter, as well, as somebody who's gone through these summers and these programs and kind of seeing some of the progress, and I'm sure you can shine the light on kind of what this is like for a lot of these players. But to nobody's surprise, Tylan Hines has been putting in work. I'm kind of curious because Steven, which I'm sure he gets from the team, classified him as a super back, not a running back, not a slot back, just a super back, which sounds like something you get at like the Simon shop. You get like the super Simon, which has like everything in it. But basically Coach Cook telling him that pound for pound, Tylan, the strongest guy on the team. He can squat 500 pounds. He's a dude that's like, what's Tylan, about 170 something pounds maybe. But the dude is sturdy, right? Just putting up big time weight. And kind of curious to get your thoughts, Hunter, on Tylan, on the categorization of super back. I think that's what they ended up calling Debo in San Francisco. Like, they were trying to come up with like a term like a wide back or whatever. I don't know. He's a football player, is what he is. And I think that's what Tylan Hines is. And a guy I think we can expect to get a lot of touches this coming season.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if there's more hype around someone heading into this season for University of Hawaii than Tylan Hines. He was kind of our best kept secret towards the end of the season last year, and then they started incorporating him into more stuff, and that got me and you excited, and we started talking about it a little bit over here on, man, what could we do if we incorporate that guy in the passing game as well as the running game. And he's just our version of Darren Sproles, kind of, for lack of a better term. This actually doesn't surprise me at all. Typically some of the faster guys, with exception to wide receivers and DBs, not always, but usually their squat games are through the roof. And especially running backs that have a more compact frame, that don't have to go down near as far for squats, can throw weight around better than anybody. I think of fellow walk-on who made it right around the same time as I did during the Chow era. Paris Joas was a walk-on running back, and he could squat well over 500 pounds. I watched it. It's incredible. and also ran a 4.340. So it's something paired with that squat and just overall raw speed. So my only worry concern is the minute you start getting over 500 pounds, it's like, okay, we get you're strong, let's keep you healthy, because we don't want a tweak in the back. Just weight rooms can get gnarly, as you know, Jordan, and that's my one thought there is we start getting into those numbers. Let's keep them healthy for sure. So that's my one main concern about that. But kind of to your point of documenting some of that stuff, I would love to see something for Max Week where the whole team is around, and you'll see those videos of everybody hyping them up. The strength and conditioning coach, in our case, Coach Cook, walking up and smacking the guy across the face or something like that. It's just raw and intense, and everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, are they allowed to do that? Who cares? Here we go." And there's like 6 plates on both sides. I remember Keelan Evelico, actually, your Maui boy. When and I want to say this too, each coaching staff is different. How they conduct their max week is very, very different depending on what type of program they have you running. But Keelan, when they were testing our pull-ups, it wasn't how many pull-ups you could do, it was how much weight could you have around your waist with a weight belt and do one. And I watched Keelan Evelico do a pull-up with 6 45s around his waist. 6. I had 2 of them in my hand, and there were 2 other guys with 2 45s, and that brother did a full pull-up with I can't do that math. It's too early on a Wednesday for that kind of math, Jordan, but unbelievable feat of human accomplishment. So I know that would get phenomenal buy-in, tune in, whatever you want to call it, on social if they wanted to throw that stuff out there. That's as much fun as a regular football game, man, watching these guys throw weight around.
Yeah, it's 270 pounds being pulled up, plus obviously his body weight. Yeah, Keelan was built a little differently. That's incredible. Yeah, I'm with you for Tylen Hines, right? These running backs, obviously the low power for lower half is going to be absolutely critical. You're shedding tackles, bouncing off dudes, sturdy. I'm curious exactly how they are going to deploy him. We saw shades of it during spring. He is so versatile. He can play basically anywhere on the field on offense, and then he was playing a bunch of special teams last year. Like, the dude is just a Swiss Army knife, right? And a weapon there. Speaking of massive squats, offensive lineman Maurice Ta'ala, currently, according to Steven Tsai, the team leader in squats, just putting up a light 675. Which, if you're an offensive lineman, you can get up there a little bit more without maybe having the same 100 concerns of injury of like a 176-pound guy putting up 500 pounds. But yeah, Mo's he's moving some weight.
The bar usually bends somewhere around 375, 400. So that must have looked like a pool noodle on his back at 675. That's incredible.
Yeah, you need like reinforced concrete or something at that point.
Wow.
Yeah, that's barely fitting plates on at the end of the bar. Yeah, that's big time there. Some other reports, courtesy again of Steven Tsai of the Honolulu Star Advertiser. Braden Shager apparently has upped his max squat 50 pounds from 405 to 455. So he's not moving anything insignificant. Dude's putting in some work as well. And apparently, and you just saw him, and so we'll bring it up again, but apparently has added about 10 pounds of muscle. He's up to about 225. He was always kind of had a good build to him, even when he came in as a youngster, under Coach Graham and had to play quite a bit. But up to 225 has added a little bit of a bulk to him as well, which is I think encouraging. Hopefully helps with some of the durability. But he is filling out quite nicely.
He'll need that squat to be over 500 pounds to outdrive me, though. I'd like that to be well stated on Hawaii Football Now. But no, he's all those guys that I played golf with are built well below the waist. So I think that's sign of good things to come. And you might be thinking, why do QBs need to squat? That's actually where their power comes from. That's where all of your power to throw the football comes from your legs and your booty, believe it or not. So that's very encouraging. And yeah, Shea has put it on up here, which is also a good sign for taking hits, concussion protocol, all that stuff. The more you can put up here to kind of just tighten everything up, your head's not going to get blown over to the side nearly as much. And that should mean he's on the field more often. So all of this is really, really encouraging at this point in the offseason, Jordan.
Yeah, he's a guy I think came in, right? He just looks so young when he started, and he still kind of got that look to him, and God bless him. But yeah, he's starting to, I think, physically, right? He's starting to kind of look like a guy who's now been in college ball for a few years now. And I think not only, from a confidence and command standpoint, kind of growing into the role, but literally growing into that role as being, QB1 of a program such as this. So that's pretty cool to see. In a guy that has taken command of things, and apparently, even though not out driving Hunter, able to get up and down maybe a little bit better with his guy Jake Farrell.
I gotta throw that in there. As all those guys were like a foot taller than me, so I'm like, goodness, I gotta get up on them with something, and the putts weren't dropping, so hey, we're sticking with long drives.
Yeah, that's hey, that's what people come for, right? That's what they come to see. That's chicks dig the long ball. That's all I got to say. The other guy of note, Nick Senecal, if you remember him last year, right? Came in, Canadian receiver, had to get some things sorted out in terms of paperwork and all this kind of things. Didn't go through training camp, kind of arrived right as the season started as this extreme unknown. But a guy that people kind of immediately were perked up about, because they were like, hey, what's this guy? Who's this guy? Right? He kind of looked the part. And limited action last year, but potentially, especially with the 4 wide, or at least the run and shoot look, right? They could have a tight end in there. A guy who could maybe fit right in, but he's put on like 20 pounds of muscle. He's up to about 193 pounds, which is good size for some of these wideouts. So another of note in a receiving core that I think has kind of flown under the radar. I think you read some of the preview magazines, some of the prognostication articles on different publications online and whatnot. I think talk about the lack of production returning from a wide receiver core, but I do think with the repurposed offense and the talent in the room, I think this is a group that people are sleeping on. And I like Senecal. I'm one of those people that kind of bought in early on. I think he's a dude who can ball.
Yeah, I'm really up on Nick. And so is the coaching staff. I feel like the ceiling is very high on this kid. And a lot of times with receivers, the missing ingredient is just reps at this level, reps with game-like speed, getting out of your breaks, getting comfortable, catching in traffic, catching on the run. Good thing with him is he's long and lanky, and kind of jello-y and flexible, if jello-y is a word on this fine Wednesday. That's kind of my observation of him. And usually with guys like that, they are fluid and fast. And so, man, if we can get guys like him open, they're going to be dangerous in this run and shoot.
Yeah, and again, putting on some muscle as well to go along with the length and jello-iness. I like that. Paints a good picture in the mind. We got 15 newcomers scheduled to arrive here or shortly, or have already arrived for strength and conditioning, kind of this next phase of the summer, to get them ready for the start of training camp. 4 weeks away, by the way. training camp starting. I think it's like 28 days as of the time this podcast comes out, if I did my math correct. But again, 15 newcomers coming in, including, again, shouts to Al from VA, Eddie Osei Katia, and tight end Travion Williams. We didn't mention this, I think, yet previously on the pod. It was reported, I believe, last week. Travion Williams, former Division II basketball player who just picked up football, played at Cal State Stanislaus State. Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah.
In California. Dude has 3 years to play 2 seasons of football remaining. He's got a 37-inch vertical. He's 6'5" and 230 pounds. Who is, like many a basketball player over the years, trying to make the conversion to football. Measurables, real nice. Athleticism, great. Was a big-time rebounder at Stanislaus State. Again, trying to get that correct.
Yeah.
So some of those guys coming in, I believe, Hunter, that Eddie has arrived already.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So he was one of those guys. I know Al was asking for updates. It's like, well, we don't kind of know yet because he's not here. But apparently he's here. So get excited, folks. Hopefully. We have no idea what this is going to work out to be, but the dude can run.
I mean, for our guy Al for VA, even if it's just for him, word on the street is Eon is on the OAHA Oahu AHU. So yeah, I've heard that he's here. I heard that they're trudging forward towards camp. They're just wanting to make sure he can catch a football. So I actually had a really fun convo with the guys when we were playing golf about this, where they were like, we're not really sure. I'm like, hey, Scott Harding didn't play a down of football until he got over here, and we all know what happened with him. So athletes can be taught how to play football. In the interest of this tight end Travion Williams, I think rebounding has phenomenal carryover from basketball to football. If you're 6'5", 230 and can jump 37 inches, good chance you're going to be able to catch a back shoulder, Jordan. Especially if you're that big. You've also just physically got big hands, and the beauty of the modern wide receiver glove, it's like just having tack all over your hands. So they're going to be just fine. I have no worries about either of these guys, and probably most excited about those two coming in than really anybody else, than maybe some of the Bishop Gorman guys. But yeah, really excited to see what these guys can do for us.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like these guys, I test for sure, right? Obviously with Williams, and he's going to be able to pluck balls, and as you mentioned, eyeballs, back shoulders. Who knows what he turns into? Again, he's got 3 years to play 2 seasons. He could conceivably redshirt this year and get him ready for next. Who knows? Who knows what the plan is there? And then with Eddie Osei Katia, those unfamiliar. Although I think we've got a lot of the repeat listeners, right? International level sprinter out of New Zealand, and has run some ridiculous times in the 100 meters. That is his specialty. But has decided to give American football a try, and decided to come to Hawaii. And who knows what they can turn him into. I'm with you. Again, those are just 2 of the scheduled 50 newcomers. As we saw last year, the roster is ever evolving. Guys will be coming through as well. Williams is another scholarship guy, if I understand that correctly. Osei Katia was a scholarship signee during the early period this past off season. So yeah, that's going to be exciting to see how these guys all work into the offense. We mentioned they're 4 weeks out from the start of training camp. The player run practices are kind of in full swing right now. And so I was just kind of curious, before we hit the halftime break, kind of get your perspective on where these guys are at now, how they start working these dudes in to some of these player run practices, and what things are going to look like here over the next 2 to 3 weeks as they get ready for camp, because this is kind of an important time it's a little bit of a lull for the fans, but for the players, like things are really heating up right now.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, is Travion Williams coming in for this season?
As far as I know, that
Cool.
was my understanding. Yeah, we can double check on that, but
Yeah,
my understanding is that he was.
I love that this coaching staff can just find guys out there. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we have to do at University of Hawaii is find, a D2 basketball player looking to make the jump, and he's got a body that we can use. Like, why not? Let's give it a shot on a guy like this. I love the kind of playing in the trenches in the recruiting and building up this roster game. But yeah, to your point of where the guy's at with all of this. I don't want to air too much of our secret stuff, but the beauty of having our facility, our field right in front of the coach's office is the coaches can run practice without being at practice. And so they can watch over the practice from up in their offices, text us what they want to see. Hey, get this guy in there, swap this guy out. Hey, run that one more time. So there are ways around compliance. So that's definitely, I think, going on at this point in the process. In terms of plugging and playing guys into the offense, with a guy like Eddie, I would think that they're giving him basic routes to run at this point. Not wanting to overload him too quick. I from what I've heard, still very early in the football development phase of kind of the process. And so I think with him, it would be get with one of the QBs and play catch every day, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Let's get you comfortable with that spinning rock going towards you, and it's not a rugby ball, it's a football. So let's practice using those hands. And with him, if he's an international sprinter, got no worry about him being physically and just tactically ready for season. So I'm sure it's a different kind of lift. But he's going to be ready come season. It's more just, is the football development going to be at the point that we can utilize him early in the season? It might take a little bit of time. So that's my thought out there, and kind of wanted to set the expectations realistically for our Hawaii football audience out there, that I don't know if he's going to be running verts first play from scrimmage against Vandy. So we need to kind of keep all of that checked and at bay. But yeah, I'm as curious as anybody, Jordan, how they're going to incorporate these tight ends into the Timmy Chang run and shoot era, as well as the rest of the offense, which was still pretty much in the early stages of the building process back in the spring. So a lot still yet to do, a lot still yet to discover as an offense. So all of that is still in front of us.
Yeah, I'm excited. Eddie, a little older, right? He's 22. Coming in, the Scott Harding comparisons. Again, I think Scott was even a little bit older than that when he came over. He's run 10:08 is the New Zealand record in the 100 meters, 10:03 in the 100 yards.
And he looks like Megatron.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's gone 20.76, which is the under 20 national record in New Zealand in the 200, his fastest there. But the 100 is definitely his deal. But yeah, I mean, he can run 100 yards in 10.03 seconds. So when they're doing 110s or something on the field, he might be leaving some dudes in the dust. Ran 6.87 in the 60 meters. So this guy can leg it out for sure. All right, that'll do it for the first half. We'll go ahead, take a little bit of a break here, quick one, and come back for the second half, where we'll kind of bounce around, ping pong around some topics, including another local commit for the University of Hawaii. It's been a good last few weeks for Coach Timmy Chang on the recruiting trail. All right, more Hawaii football now when we return.
This is Hawaii Football Now from ESPN Honolulu.
At second half time here on HFN. This is episode 96. Jordan Hunter back with you. Looking ahead, Hawaii getting a verbal commitment from another local kid, this time in the class of 2025. We had covered over the last couple of weeks. 5 guys in the class of 2024. Those are rising seniors that have given their verbal commitment to the University of Hawaii. And the momentum's still going. Titan Lackadin, who is a rising junior who has played 2 seasons at St. Louis School, verbally commits to the University of Hawaii, making him really kind of the first local kid of the class of 2025. And so it's a long ways to go. Like, it's still basically 18 months before he can even sign in December of 2024 at the earliest possible date. A name that I think will be very familiar to those who follow the University of Hawaii program. You remember it was about 6 years ago that Rolo, when it was kind of the rage, like Lane Kiffin was doing it, Harbaugh was doing it, and it became like this thing. But they were offering like 7th graders, 6th graders, 8th graders, right? It's like, all right, well, this guy hasn't even played high school football yet. Rolo went ahead and offered Titan Lackadin when he was 11 years old. 11 years old. He was playing like pylon and flag football and just tearing it up. Not a big guy by any stretch of the imagination. Still isn't, but dude can play. And so he was offered by Rolo back as an 11-year-old. Obviously, a couple of coaching changes since Nick Rolovich's departure. Timmy Chang and his staff come in, basically re-offer Titan after a stellar sophomore season last year. We had 61 catches for 821 yards, 6 touchdowns in 9 games for St. Louis last year. And he is offered his commitment. Again, he is kind of your prototypical run and shoot slot back. He is your prototypical pass catching slot receiver, very much out of that mold that St. Louis has produced year after year. He's like 5'9-ish, like 150, 160 pounds. Again, not a big guy, but he can run routes. He is smart. He has been around football for a long, long time. His brother Jake played for Rolo up in Nevada, Reno. So there's another kind of Hawaii Reno connection, right? With Timmy obviously having spent time there as well. Obviously not necessarily with Titan's brother, but it's kind of all in the family, right? St. Louis, Reno, all these connections now, the University of Hawaii. And so here's another local boy who has sort of said very similar things in terms of what drew him to the University of Hawaii. Talked about kind of also, appreciating the fact that they believed in him so early on when he was an 11-year-old. But also the way that the new coaching staff is going about things, wanting to restore Hawaii football to glory, if you will, and has also kind of picked up the mantle in trying to convince some of his fellow local boys to stay home. So more headway. That's 6 local kids in the last basically 3 weeks for the University of Hawaii that have verbally committed here.
It's fantastic. You want to talk about a flex, Jordan. You're walking a class in 6th grade and you look over at your buddy going, hey, just so you know, in case you forgot, I just got offered to go to University of Hawaii, and I've got 3 years before high school even starts. When did you get your offer? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I know it's still sensitive. I would have been talking all the trash if I was Titan. This is fantastic. Fantastic. And the other cool thing is he's been on record to say that he wants to kind of lead by example and set the precedent for other highly touted local recruits to stay home. It just shows a bigger worldview, a bigger perspective than just himself. I think now that you mentioned a little bit more of his story about him having an older brother that played D1 football at Nevada, kind of being around this for the better part of his life, I could see just that well-rounded, it's not about me kind of mindset. And I've been very impressed with this young man. Josh Pacheco and I have covered this story a little bit on Off the Bench, and it speaks to kind of the leadership abilities that I see kind of forming in a kid like this. And it's really, really exciting to see.
Yeah, no, he as you mentioned, he's been kind of around it. He's been through it. He's very mature for his age, and it's partly because he was grabbing national headlines as an 11-year-old. He's got obviously the role models. His dad's a longtime coach, as a great support system around him with his brother, and a guy who I think is pretty exciting because he's another, not only a local kid, but kind of fits the idea of where this program is going in terms of that run and shoot. Very, he might even be bigger, at least height wise, than like Koali Nishigaya, who I think is, I'm a huge fan, and I think is in line for a breakout season. But one of those St. Louis receivers, right? In fact, the quotes in Stephen Tsai's article from St. Louis now head coach Ron Lee, who has coached some really good ones, including a lot of guys at the University of Hawaii when he was there. He said, Titan is quicker than Chad Owens. He's unbelievable. At this point in time, he's ahead of Chad as a junior in high school. Chad Owens, of course, former Roosevelt great, completely under the radar before he showed up at the University of Hawaii. And just broke onto the scene, and of course had a terrific professional career, was CFL MVP up north in Canada. But that's what I think is another underrated aspect of the run and shoot, is it creates a venue for undersized, overlooked, but extremely talented local kids to play and succeed and excel at the next level. Like it lends perfectly to a type of athlete that Hawaii produces kind of on a regular basis. I'm not saying everybody's Chad Owens, but there are a lot of dudes who can play who maybe aren't going to get taller than 5'8", 5'9", but in an offense like the run and shoot, they fit in just perfectly.
Would you put
and I think Titan's one of those guys.
Yeah, would you put him on the same level as like a Roman Wilson who ended up going to Michigan?
Different kind of receivers, I would say. I think it's kind of interesting because guys like Roman Wilson, I think the quarterback play at St. Louis isn't quite what it was. Especially during that stretch when Cal was back as the head coach, and they were pumping, right, from Tua to Shevin,
and then Delora,
to Delora, right? And so guys like Roman Wilson, they were playing on St. Louis teams that were like legit, like top 15 in the country. St. Louis isn't quite that yet. They're still really, really good. They will likely still have very above average quarterback play, but just maybe not like NFL, all conference in Division I quarterback play yet. I could be proven wrong. No, don't get me wrong. But so a little different look. And Roman was, man, he was such a speedster on the outside. Titan working on the inside. Yeah, I would say more like a Koali Nishigaya. Not just because of size, but kind of how they operate. He's got great hands, Titan does. And really smart, really, really cerebral when it comes to operating in the slot. And how that goes, man. They're running shooting these guys and how they can dissect and read defenses post snap, pre snap, and adjust routes. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys, I think. In somebody that we can get pretty excited about going forward. So these guys, they get that schooling at St. Louis, and it translates quite nicely. But yeah, he's if everything works out, he ends up at the University of Hawaii. I think he fits in with what they're trying to do really well.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be more excited. I'm trying to think back to a season that I've been more excited for. The only other time would be maybe the 2019 season, heading into that one, because we knew we were going to have a chance to go after the Mountain West. And right now it's excitement mixed with curiosity, with so much newness in front of us. They didn't quite commit to the run and shoot preseason last year, not to the same level that they are right now. Timmy was still very, very much getting his feet wet as a head coach and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're at the point now, Jordan, with guys being put into different positions, and we've had a solid year and a half of getting reps under our belt to have some healthy excitement and healthy expectations for what this year could unfold.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, it reminds me of 2018 a lot, just
Yeah.
because of the run and shoot propaganda, if you will. Like I drink all of it. I'm in. I'm a big believer, as I know you are, in the offense, and I think, I'm not saying they're going 10-5 like 2019. I'm not saying they're going when they end up 8-5 or whatever it was in 2018. But I think the momentum is there, and I am very optimistic that this team can take a leap and improve off of the 3 wins last year, and heck, the future looking not bad as well when you factor in all these recruits and guys that have bought in. You'll continue to keep those guys bought in and maybe bring more guys into the fold if you can win with football games as well in the fall. Like the more wins they rack up in the fall, the more that people are going to get up on the hype train, and the recruits are going to, start really coming aboard.
Open door policy.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of open doors, before we kind of wrap things up on the 2-minute drill, Hunter, you're going to some open spaces. I guess you got to get in the plane first, but speaking of local recruits, you're on your way to Molokai, right? To conduct a little clinic, second year in a row.
That's right. Yeah, this Saturday, going to be over on Molokai for the day. Team up with Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Molokai High up there on the hill. And you were telling me they play 8-man football. Is that correct?
That's right.
And,
yeah, 8-man football.
Yeah, so I had them run and shoot routes last year, and we picked them apart. So I'm really looking forward to kind of dicing it up with them again and teaching some QB play. It's always a fun time to jump over there, and it's so different. I loved it. So yeah, this will be kind of my second year under my belt over there, and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, Molokai is a great place, just when you break it down, and then obviously the football program has had a lot of success. They play 8-player football. I love it. It's great. It is wildly entertaining. If you can master a little bit of a passing game, a little run and shoot, there's so much space out there. They play on a little bit of a narrower field, a little bit of a shorter field as well. But you take 3 guys off the field, man, there is so much space to be had. They got all kinds of athletes over there. The MIL,
Canada,
the MIL is the only league now that plays 8-player football. Them, Lanai, Hana, and Seabury Hall. So it's a really entertaining brand of football, and great for those smaller communities, right? Those smaller schools to still have football. I'm a big proponent. It is cool stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be working footwork, getting the ball out of our hands quick, and taking what the defense gives us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I don't run out of the chance to do it again next year, because I'm liking this every summer. Go over to Molokai for the day.
Yeah, it's not a bad gig, man. Enjoy that. Coach Mike Kahale, the Farmers head coach, great guy as well. So have fun over there, and eat all the good food that I'm sure they're going to cook for you guys as well. It's usually one of the highlights. All right, quick little OT 2-minute drill to get us up out of here. Kind of wanted to switch gears a little bit. Wanted to send some shakas our aloha to Neil Everett, who wrapped up an incredible run at ESPN. Did his last episode of SportsCenter, I believe it was last Friday night. He had been there for over 20 years after quite a long stretch here in Hawaii, working at the small college level, then obviously getting into news and sportscasting, and finding his way to Bristol, and was kind of part of a nice little glory era of SportsCenter, man, when it really meant something. Kind of grew up with him, and always took Hawaii wherever he went, which was really cool, and anchored and started that LA SportsCenter with Stan Verrett all those years ago, and had still been doing it. and was always a big proponent of the University of Hawaii sports as well. Would always try to squeeze in those highlights. And of course, obviously, when Hawaii football was cooking, most recently kind of lent the soundtrack to some of the University of Hawaii men's volleyball hype videos as they got ready for national championship runs. Always held Hawaii near and dear. And who knows, will probably be, it's not like he's retiring full time or anything like that. I think he's still going to do some work with the Portland Trail Blazers. Had done some TV work for them last year. The Spokane native, went to the University of Oregon. But maybe with a little more free time, we'll probably see him back in Hawaii a little bit more, I would imagine. But yeah, always just wanted to send a little shout out there, man. It was a little tough, man. I know ESPN's kind of going through some revamping and budget cuts and all things like that, and his contract was kind of coming to an end. But yeah, you could tell by the outpouring of notes from coworkers, guys like Scott Van Pelt and everything in between. But just wanted to send our aloha to Neil, and we'll miss him on SportsCenter, man. But I know he's still got a lot to give.
Yeah. Whenever I introduce myself to people and they ask what I do, and I say I work for ESPN Honolulu, one of the few questions that follows is, "Oh, do you know Neil Everett?" And similar, whenever they found out I played football, "Oh, did you play with Colt Brennan?" So he is unquestionably like the standard for guys that made it in kind of our business, Jordan, at the next level. And that's the cool thing about Hawaii is people don't forget. People don't forget if you did come through here. And he also showed that he didn't forget his roots, where he came from. Even, for me, I'm originally from Chicago, and Neil was one of my favorites to watch. And I don't know if you ever did this, Jordan, talking at lunchtime, like, hey, if you could only have two SportsCenter hosts, who would it be? And
yeah, for sure.
Mine was always Stuart Scott and Neil Everett. Like those were my two guys. Yeah. So really, really fun. And then to find out that he was from here originally, whenever I, was out here and playing football for UH, it just kind of had a full circle kind of vibe to it. And then him mentoring Rob DeMello and that connection to the program. It's really fun. And so it almost feels like a win for the community to watch him go and blossom over there. And I hope that that's just the first success story of many to follow.
Yeah, that's so funny, man. It's so true, because like there was a time where SportsCenter anchors, right, were as big as stars on that network. And it was a big deal. And you used to tune into SportsCenter because you didn't have like the highlights in the palm of your hand on your phone. And it's like, I didn't know the scores of a lot of these games. Like I tuned in to find out who the heck won these games.
Wait, and highlights top 10 were at the top of the hour.
Oh man, it was the best. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Neil and Stu Scott on the very short list of all time. I love the This Is SportsCenter commercial where he and Federer, right, or is like, Neil, I'm top 10, right? I'm in your top 10. It's just there's some really good ones there. All right, that'll do it for us. Big thanks to Spectrum Mobile HawaiiUSA Federal Credit Union, as always. Big thanks to Jonathan for putting this episode together once again. Shout out to Hunter as well, always bringing the good stuff. And mahalo to all the viewers and commenters, as we mentioned. Tyler, Scott, Al from VA dropping us a line once again. Always appreciate it. Looking forward to your guys' feedback on this episode as well. We'll see you next week, everybody. This has been Hawaii Football Now.
You've been listening to Hawaii Football Now with Jordan Helly and Hunter Hughes, all from ESPN Honolulu.